Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're situated on this great, big, beautiful blue globe floating through the void of Yah's creation. It's Tuesday, the 4th of June, 2026. These are the WTF reports. I'm your host, DavevonKleist, and give me one good reason why we should trust any institution in this country, especially the media. Give me one good reason, dare ya. You won't be trusted anymore. All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to, like I said, the Thursday edition of the WTF reports. And as always, I always ask that you folks, spread the word. Tell folks about this broadcast and help to grow the listenership, because this is Red Pill 101. No, I'm not an expert in any one particular thing. It's the old saying, a jack of all trades, master of none. And I've just been sitting in the sidelines for the past, decade and a half, just watching the wheels go round and round. Yeah, I was on the front lines, 30 years ago, et cetera, et cetera. And I chose not to continue down that road. I was never in it for the accolades or the money or the praise or any of that type of stuff. As a matter of fact, I abhor that type of stuff. And unfortunately, there are too many people involved in too many movements that are in it for exactly those reasons. They want to sell their book, sell their video. They want to get rich and famous and all that type of stuff. Yeah, I had a taste of that, and I didn't like it. No, I don't like it at all. Traveling around the country. Yeah, I mean, it's nice that everybody says, oh, Dave, you've done such great work with the 9/11 and you're such a truth seeker and great musician and all that type of stuff. Yeah, but it's weird when you're driving across country and you stop in the gas station and somebody says, hey, aren't you the guy that did that video? Yeah, I know. Yeah, I didn't like that. I didn't like it at all. So, yeah, I had a little bit of taste of notoriety, and it's not my cup of tea. And, yeah, when I was doing the Power Hour with Joyce back 20-odd years ago, yeah, we were doing great. Our business was booming. We were making tons of money and stuff like that, but I was never in it for the money. It's just, you either stand in the truth or you hide in the darkness. So we know that no good deeds go unpunished. So, but anyway, and that's basically my stand on the whole thing. So, anyway, I'm sitting here watching all of this stuff hit the fan. And, on so many different fronts. The pharmaceuticals, the chemtrails, the Epstein stuff, the war in Iran, the exposure of Israel. There's just so much for people to take in. And I can't help but think that it's all being done by design to keep everybody off balance. Like I say, standing up in a hammock with roller skates on, juggling chainsaws. And that's sort of where we're at. But then again, it's you can't defeat the beast unless you've got the courage to stare it in the eyes. And there's one thing that the beast hates is if you point and laugh at them. And I tell you, we're starting to get to that point. But it's becoming painfully obvious that we have so many treasonists among us, so many traitors. So many people who have sold their souls. What was that song, Yes, they worship the dollar, the silver, the gold, and they haven't a soul. It's already been sold. And unfortunately, that's how people rise to the top. I talked about that a day or two ago. When you want to climb the ladder of success, whether it be in the public or private sector, you're going to come across a particular step that requires that you compromise your principles and your morals. And that's how people ascend on the ladder of success. So, getting into this issue I've been talking about all week is the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, Section 224 to be specific, and I read from that yesterday. Something really interesting has surfaced in regard to that particular document. Well, it seems that at the end of May, I think it was May 27th, Congressional Representative MarlinStutzman from Indiana, I believe, excuse me, he made a trip to Israel and had a meeting with Bibi Netanyahu. Now, again, that was the end of May. Well, he scurried back to Washington, and apparently it was Congressman Stutzman who inserted Section 224 into the NDAA. Now, how and why would somebody do that? Why would somebody even think up the idea of turning over the entire Department of Defense, or, excuse me, the Department of War, And I don't know, that's a psychological thing, you know? The best defense is the best offense. Anyway, I digress. Point is that, okay, Stutzman goes to Israel at the end of May. I think it was May 27th. He scurries back to Washington, inserts Section 224 into the NDAA, and now everybody is having a fit over that, and well, they should. Turns over our entire military and all of its assets to Israel. Go read it.
Oh, they would never do that. That couldn't happen.
Go read it. Just read it. Go to page 40 and start reading. And leave yourself enough room on your chest for your jaw to fall down. Well, what's really interesting is I have in my hand a letter. Now, again, Stutzman went to Israel at the end of May. And he scurried back to Washington and quickly inserted 224. At least that's the way, what I believe. Allegedly, I should say. All right, well, here's a letter from Bibi Netanyahu to Congressman Stutzman. And it's dated June 1st, only 4 days ago. And I read, again, Dear Congressman Stutzman, I was glad to receive your proposed congressional resolution endorsing my plan to shift the framework for U.S.-Israel defense cooperation from aid to partnership. That's a big difference. I continue. It says, as I said in our meeting in Jerusalem on May 27th, that was right, 2026, Israel deeply appreciates the financial component of the military aid in the United States, the United States has generously provided us over the years. The time has now arrived for us to move from aid recipient to partner. I continue. I am heartened by your enthusiastic support for our plan to develop a new memorandum of understanding with the United States government that will draw down U.S. financial military assistance over the next decade and replace it with what you refer to as a, quote, new framework of joint defense cooperation, co-development, co-production, and mutual investment in areas including advanced missile defense, artificial intelligence, unmanned systems, cybersecurity, and next-generation military platforms, unquote. I also appreciate your commitment to fighting the scourge of anti-Semitism in the United States and around the world. Warmest regards, Benjamin Netanyahu. That's the text of the letter dated June 1st from Benjamin Netanyahu to Congressman MarlinStutzman. So apparently, and again, this is really important. Remember, we've been sending, $3.8 billion, thereabouts, of foreign aid to Israel. And that's been the topic of discussion in many different forums for quite some time. People are wondering why the heck we've got homeless vets in the street, and we can't get decent health care, and we can't get decent education, and yet Israelis, if you live in Israel, you get free education, free health care. If you're a pregnant woman, you get free money, and once you have the baby entitles you to money every month until that baby becomes 18 years old. So Israelis get all these benefits from the $3.8 billion that we send in foreign aid to Israel. But recently, Netanyahu was quoted as saying, well, we're not going to need that 3.8. We should just do away with that foreign aid. We won't need that. We'll be just fine on our own. Well, no wonder he's saying that. Let's see. Door number one, you get $3.8 billion a year in foreign aid. Or door number two, you get full and total access to all of the assets of the United States military and the Department of Defense. The Department of War. So let's see, door number one, $3.8 billion, or door number two, total access to our entire military. And by the way, there is no door number three. So I don't think it's too much. It's a no-brainer as to which choice Bibi Netanyahu would want. So he makes a public statement that, well, we're not going to take that $3.8 billion anymore. And everybody goes, yay! But meanwhile, buried in the NDAA in Section 224 is an agreement basically saying that we're going to give everything we've got in our military to Israel. So that's where we're at, folks. Now, this is treason, as far as I'm concerned. It really is. As a matter of fact, I have a clip here. As a matter of fact, Congressman Stutzman made the following statement. I believe he made this statement yesterday. Give this a listen.
Israel has been our greatest ally on a national security front, on an economic front, and the amount of technology that comes to the United States that's looking for markets and also manufacturing and production can happen between our two countries. And so there's a lot of growth opportunities economically. But from a defense standpoint, they have incredible technology in the defense space. So we share common values, Christian Judeo principles.
Wait a second. What do you mean we share common values? I'm sorry. When you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. We do not share the same Christian Judeo principles and values. I don't value genocide. I don't know about you folks out there, but, an overwhelming majority now of the American people are not on board with the policies of Israel, whether it be Netanyahu or Ben Gvir or whoever. People do not share those principles. We're not in agreement with, grabbing Palestinian kids and hauling them off into a Palestinian prison, harvesting their organs, beating them, raping them, and doing all kinds of horrible things. And then Ben Gvir, was it a week or two ago, said, okay, well, we've decided that we are going to execute all the Palestinian prisoners. And we have no idea exactly how many. There's estimates of between 8,000 and 12,000 prisoners, or shall we say hostages. And they want to execute all of them. And Ben Gvir was seen walking around with a little lapel pin in the shape of a noose. I mean, are these the Judeo-Christian values that he's talking about? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to jump in and cut you off, Representative Stutzman, but I'm going to back it up a little bit and let you finish your statement. Here it is.
Standpoint, they have incredible technology in the defense space. So we share common values. Christian Judeo principles is what our country was founded upon, and those are the principles that Israel operates on as well. And so as we've talked more about it, we are labeling this aid to trade, and that we move away from the aid and we move towards a trade agreement, a defense agreement. I'm really optimistic about the direction that the Middle East is going, but it really is because Israel is such a strong ally of ours, and the stability and that they bring to the region is important for economic activity to flourish.
So it's all about the money. Is that? And he said he's really optimistic about the situation in the Middle East. Well, what? What? What is the situation in the Middle East? The whole place is a powder keg. The whole place, I mean, we've got missiles going on, drones going on. Kuwait's been hit. Bahrain's been hit. Of course, they're not too happy about that. But if they hadn't been housing U.S. military bases that have been used to attack Iran, maybe they wouldn't have gotten hit. And then, of course, we can continue to talk about South Lebanon. So Israel's been pushing into Lebanon and killing all kinds of civilians and taking all their land and everything. And now they're talking about a ceasefire again. Another ceasefire. Do you agree to a ceasefire, Bibi? Yes, I agree. Okay, thank you. Yeah, another explosion. But the thing is Israel has moved all the way into southern Lebanon, and if they're going to have the ceasefire, they say, okay, well, we'll ceasefire, but we're going to keep the land. Oh, that seems fair. So anyway, I wanted to share that with you. If you feel in your heart that if you find a need to contact the Honorable MarlinStutzman, I wouldn't have any objections to that. You might want to call up his office and give him a piece of your mind, because apparently he, and I don't know that, I think there were a couple other people involved in inserting Section 224 into the NDAA. I'm not quite sure. I got to do a little bit more digging and find out who else was behind this. But the simple fact that we've got so many of our members of Congress that are in the back pocket of Israel, shik-shing, for whatever shik-shing reason, shik-shing. Yeah, I have no confidence that they're going to want to overcome or take that out. But Thomas Massie, he's promising he's going to do everything he can to stop that. And I hope that he does. And I hope the American people get behind him as well. But we're at a point right now where nobody in government cares what you people think. They don't need you anymore. You think that you can vote them out? I've got beachfront property in Colorado you'd probably be interested in. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to have to see how these primaries work out. And again, I just don't understand. They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. Well, how does that apply to election day? Of course, there's still a huge controversy about the 2020 election. And since that time, yes, we were told that was the most secure election in history. Yes, it was perfect. There was no problem. Oh, really? And now it's all coming out that in Pennsylvania and Georgia and all over the country, there were all kinds of problems with the 2020 election. But did they do anything to fix it? All those Dominion machines that we were told that were linked into Venezuela and Germany, and Italy, and all over the country, all over the world. Oh, but they're not supposed to be connected to the internet. Yeah, well, they were. And it was the most secure election. But they didn't fix anything. If they didn't fix anything, that means it's still broken. And if it's still broken and you're still participating in it, what does it say about you? Oh, my gosh. I don't know. I hate to be a pessimist, but that's just the way it is. That's just the way it is. Let me see. What else is I going to get to here today? There's a couple of other topics. Oh, gosh. There's so much that's coming out about the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. Oh, my gosh. Congressman Ron Johnson has been tearing the roof off the sucker. I realize I'm going to be all over the map with different topics today, but I've only got 1 hour and a couple of things that I do want to get to. But anyway, here is a testimony from, let me see, what was this guy's name here? Dr. DrAseemMulhotra. And he testified before Congress, and what he had to offer was mind-blowing. Here it is.
Our next witness is Dr. DrAseemMulhotra. Dr. Mulhotra is a multi-award-winning, internationally renowned British cardiologist. He served in an advisory role for health policy across governments, including as an ambassador to the Academy of Medical Royal Colleges and trustee of the King's Fund, a health policy think tank. He was ranked the #1 doctor in the world influencing obesity thinking and was named one of the UK's most influential scientists. Dr. Mulhotra.
Okay, I'm going to pause it right there. Obviously, this Dr. Mulhotra he's a conspiracy theorist, and he's just been basically in his mom's basement, coming out with all kinds of wacky things. Anyway, that's what they'll try to say. But anyway, so here's Dr. Mulhotra's testimony.
Thank you, Senator Johnson. In January 2021, indoctrinated with the unlikelihood of any major harm, I took 2 doses of Pfizer's mRNA vaccine, unaware at the time that it was, in fact, a prophylactic gene therapy product and unlike any traditional vaccine. Although I was at very low risk of serious illness from COVID-19 due to my age and perfect metabolic health, I was inoculated to protect my patients. As one of the UK's most trusted doctors, I was requested to appear on Good Morning Britain to help tackle vaccine hesitancy amongst high-risk ethnic minority groups. 5 months later, a personal tragedy triggered a complete U-turn in my perception of the vaccine. We were dealing with a medical product that was actually unsafe and defective. My fit and healthy 73-year-old father, honorary vice president of the British Medical Association, who also happened to be my best friend and last surviving member of my immediate family, died after suffering an unexpected cardiac arrest. Post-mortem findings revealed severe coronary artery disease, and subsequent published mechanistic evidence suggested that 2 doses of the mRNA COVID vaccine likely caused a massive acceleration in atherosclerosis, leading to his sudden death. In 2022, I published a 2-part peer-reviewed paper in the Journal of Insulin Resistance calling for a moratorium on these unsafe and defective products. The most damning evidence was a reanalysis of Pfizer and Moderna's original trials. It determined a frequency of serious harm from the product that was 2 to 4 times more likely than being hospitalized with severe COVID. In my view, if the system had been more transparent, this prophylactic gene therapy would likely not have been injected into a single human being in the first place. Although there is now a multitude of high-quality research supporting those analyses, there has been predictable little to any mainstream media coverage, a symptom of the downstream effects of how big corporations exert their power by controlling the dominant narrative. I have personal experience with these downstream effects. Towards the end of last year, at the Reform Party political conference, I quoted Britain's most eminent oncologist, Professor Angus Dalgleish. He believes that the COVID mRNA vaccine likely played a significant role in cancers of members of the royal family. Predictably, I was smeared and misrepresented in the media. Even the British Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, misled Parliament, suggesting that I'd claimed that all vaccines cause cancer. In quotes, "These dangerous conspiracies cost lives," he said. I also experienced public smears and attacks from influential sections of the medical profession. I'm a grieving vaccine-injured doctor. I've been diagnosed with a persistent autoimmune condition related to loss of bifidobacteria in my gut. An advanced blood test suggested I'm at slightly increased risk of cancer in the short term. Looking at the totality of up-to-date evidence and what you've heard from eminent witnesses today, in my view, millions of Americans and millions more across the world may be in clear and present danger of suffering premature cardiovascular disease and cancer. Without allowing all scientists to debate this openly, without fear of censure, we will not be able to identify who is most at risk and how these risks can be mitigated. When it comes to making money, multinational corporations have been diagnosed by preeminent forensic psychologist Dr. Robert Hare and law professor Joel Bakan as legal entities that fulfill the criteria for psychopathy. Characteristics include callous unconcern for the safety of others, incapacity to experience guilt, repeated lying, and conning others for profit. The evidence presented here today exposes the corporate tyranny underlying public health practice. This profitability over people rooted in the neoliberal economic model has led to trust being an all-time low in the medical profession. A full public apology from government bodies and medical leadership to the vaccine injured and bereaved is an essential first step in restoring that trust. Tyranny emerges when people are afraid to say what they think. When you have something to say, silence is a lie. When everyone lies all the time, the tyranny is complete. To save the health of the American people and to save democracy, it is our responsibility to expose, resist, and dismantle the era of corporate tyranny we currently find ourselves in. Thank you.
Bam! Kaboom! Oh, yeah. I love it. Of course, they do everything that they can to discredit him and others who come forward with information about the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy. But the floodgates are open. Doctors all over the world now are realizing how the entire world was scammed by a very small group of individuals who happen to share a same belief system. Now, I suppose I could hint as to what that belief is or what that ethnicity is, but I'm sure most of you out there know exactly which ethnicity it all comes down to. And another doctor who's been coming forward and gaining quite a bit of notoriety, and I've featured audio clips of him on this show in the past, is Dr. Nicholas Hulscher. And in a related topic and in a related interview, here's what he had to share about the hokey-pokey thingy-dingy.
The tide is turning. Now it's over 56% of Americans believe that the COVID vaccines cause mass deaths. So the whole public is waking up now. It cannot be stopped. The science keeps coming out. Every single week there's a new study that's more and more shocking. 2 days ago a study came out finding vaccine components, spike protein, and mRNA in placentas of vaccinated pregnant women. You can't make this stuff up. So now it has transgenerational effects. It's impacting future generations. So again, this is very serious, and it's going to keep coming out. This information won't stop. You know, we have experienced mass casualties, mass deaths, millions of deaths, injuries, and disabilities in the United States alone from the COVID-19 vaccines, and they're still being given to 6-month-olds. And so it's absolutely madness, but it's going to come to an end sooner or later.
Okay, so it's almost like it's a plan. It's almost like there's actually a conspiracy to eliminate a huge percentage of the global population. Oh, that would just be a conspiracy theory.
They would never do that.
Oh, really? Okay. Let's talk about it a little bit more after the break.
Get More Tank will save you money every month on gas. Get More Tank is a tablet with active ingredients that adds big mileage to every tank. Made in America, the Get More Tank formula is used by trucking companies and heavy industry. Now the Get More Tank formula is available to you. Get More Tank works in any gas or diesel engine, cleans your engine, lowers emissions, and you'll feel improved engine performance every time you step on the gas. Get More Tank works for cars, trucks, boats, motorcycles, four-wheelers, mowers, and blowers. Hey, if you got an engine, then Get More Tank. Contractors, electricians, plumbers, painters, and lawn service companies, Get More Tank will save you money and extend the life of your engines. If you're an owner-operator running your big rig around the town or across the country, Get More Tank will save you money too. If you're a farmer, all of your equipment can use Get More Tank. A 5-pack on sale at GetMoreTank.com for just $22.22 plus shipping. Use the promo code REDPILL101 and get 10% off. Save your money, save your engine, save the earth at GetMoreTank.com. Get More Tank is EPA registered, doesn't void warranties, results vary.
And as always, you can get more Tank by visiting our website, TheWTFReports.com. Don't forget the word the, T-H-E, TheWTFReports.com. Click on the sponsors page. It'll take you down to an area where you can click on Get More Tank and read all the specifications and details about this fuel catalyst. And yes, it works. I've had people contacting me say, hey, this stuff did exactly what you said it was going to do. Within your first tank, you will notice right away that when you hit your accelerator, your vehicle takes off. When the light turns green, you go. And then as this catalyst works its way through your engine, the engine makes a little bit of an adjustment, gets used to its new level of efficiency, so it burns cleaner, it gives you more power, and it hits you in your pocket in a good way. Because after you've used a few tanks, you'll start to see your mileage improve, anywhere between 15 and 20%, depending upon your make, model, year of vehicle and your driving habits, of course. So you got nothing to lose with this. It's a no-brainer, folks. You know, $20 will get you 5 tablets. Once you're using it, that's 1 tablet per tank. If you get 20% better mileage, that means the 5th tank is free. One purchase of Get More Tank and you save a tank. Get More Tank, you save a tank of gas. So what have you got to lose, folks? Go to our website, TheWTFReports.com, click on the sponsors page, and Get More Tank. All right, it's 34 minutes past the hour, whatever hour you're sitting in. A quick reminder that if you're listening live, that means you're listening between the hours of 2 p.m. and 3 p.m. Eastern Time or 11 a.m. to 12 noon Pacific Time. Do the math for the time zones in between, and that's when we're live. If you're not listening during those times, well, then that's a recording. But if you're listening live, you can call in. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. Hey, and Melissa. Hey, Melissa, you out there listening? Melissa, don't call in 1 minute before the end of the show. You did that yesterday. If you want to join me, do it now. Do it now. Anyway, 215-867-8255. I hate to reject a call whenever somebody calls in, but when you've only got a minute or 30 seconds left, no, I can't take your call. I'm sorry. It just doesn't make sense. It's not fair to either one of us. So, anyway, back onto this issue. Are they really trying to kill us? Are the globalists out there working feverishly to execute their plans to basically eliminate about 95% of the global population.
Oh, they would never do that.
Oh, God, I can't believe it. Anyway, well, it seems that if it's deeds and not words, yeah, they're making every move they can to do exactly that. Again, Dr. Nicholas Hulscher, man, I'll tell you, he's been at it. He's been exposing a whole lot of stuff. I don't know what to do about the food supply anymore. We know now that they're injecting all of the livestock with mRNA, the stuff that you just heard Nick Hulscher talking about. You can't get away from this stuff.
Okay, well, I'll just cut out red meat.
Well, they're going to do that for you with the Lone Star tick. Yeah. Get alpha-gal syndrome, and you'll be limited to just eating chickens and fish. Oh, but the chickens are injected with other... Okay, well, then forget the chickens. We'll just eat the fish. Well, guess what? You want to know what's going on with your fish? Here's Dr. Nicholas Hulscher again.
The farmed fish that you eat are injected with over 50 different types of vaccinations, literally. So they sedate them like that video showed, en masse. So large numbers of fish, they bathe them in some sort of sedation agent, and then they feed them through a giant vaccination machine, a vaccinator conveyor belt. And so while they are asleep from the chemical drugs that they absorbed, they are inoculated with who knows how many types of vaccines at one time. And they go through that, and then they're released back into the farmed fish pond. And again, so every single year we'll have hundreds of millions of salmon, trout, sardines, all sorts of fish are receiving these vaccinations. And mRNA versions are coming soon, by the way. They are already developing them. They're already testing mRNA versions. And so, you go out and eat fish, get wild-caught fish. Since I've learned this, I'm never going to eat farmed fish ever again. I don't want to eat, 20, 50 different vaccines in my meal.
I don't blame you. Neither do I. So let's see, if they're injecting all of the livestock, the cattle and the pigs and all that, if they're injecting all of them with mRNA and God knows what else, well, okay, can't eat that. And plus, like I said, the alpha-gal syndrome is kicking in with a lot of people who've been bitten by the Lone Star tick. And you don't want to have the chickens because we know that they are, they actually ship the chickens out of country, and where they get processed and then packaged and they get sent back to the United States. This is insanity. This is craziness. But then again, maybe it's not so crazy if you do indeed have a plan to eliminate a huge percentage of the global population.
But they would never do that.
Oh, God, please. I can't tell you how many times I've had people say that to me. Oh, come on, Dave, they wouldn't do that. I know you regular listeners know what I'm talking about. But, when you bring up any one particular group and say, look, these people are not good people. And, we know which group has been basically taking control of our entire government and all of the institutions, all of the businesses, all the corporations, And let me ask you a question, and I'd love to get your feedback on this. Again, the phone number here is 215-867-8255. What comes to mind when somebody says white supremacy? Think about it. White supremacy. Dun, 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 dun. Yeah, it sounds so ominous, doesn't it? Yeah, racists and skinheads and people like Mustache Man. White supremacy, that's bad. Right? Okay, I'm on board with that. I don't believe that anybody is supreme. But what if you hear the words Jewish supremacy? Ooh, that has a different flavor to it, doesn't it? Yeah. After all, we are all Goyim or Amalek. Doesn't that indicate that there is a group of people that believe that they are supreme? But that's okay. That's okay. Can't talk to your representatives or senators about Jewish supremacy because they will call you a bad word. Despite the fact that it is true that, they do believe that. They do believe that if you're not one of them, you are not a human being. They are above you. They are supreme. And that's accepted. Let that settle in, folks. And these are the people who basically have gained complete control of our government. And if Section 224 is not taken out of the NDAA, they will have control of the United States military as well. Now, of course, you bring that up and you're immediately attacked and you're called an anti-Semite. As a matter of fact, in Australia, they got a real campaign going on, keep on banging the drum. Just like, 6 million, October 7th. Yeah, anti-Semitism. Yeah.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise. Anti-Semitism is on the rise.
The rise in anti-Semitism in Australia. The rise in anti-Semitism in Australia.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise.
Anti-Semitism is on the rise.
The rise in anti-Semitism. The rise in anti-Semitism.
The rising levels of anti-Semitism. The rising of anti-Semitism.
A rise in anti-Semitic behaviour. A rise in anti-Semitic behaviour.
Anti-Semitism in Australia.
A lie told often enough becomes the truth.
Anti-Semitism in Australia. The level of anti-Semitism in Australia.
Anti-Semitism we're seeing in Australia.
Okay, enough of that. You see what I'm saying? This is exactly what's going on. And I'll tell you, I can understand why, because the reputation of Israel, thanks to Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Gvir and the entire Knesset, it's in the hopper. The world sees it. This is a no-brainer. And if anyone out there can justify and legitimize the actions being taken by the Mossad and the IDF, et cetera, if you don't accept that, well, then you're an anti-Semite, right? So again, I asked the question about the term Jewish supremacy. Is that a legitimate claim? If I'm drawing attention to a particular group of people and say, hey, they are supremacists. This is where we're at, folks. It's terrifying. It is absolutely terrifying. Anyway, let me see what else I've got here. I got a couple of other things. Again, if you want to join the conversation, you're welcome to do so. The phone number here is 215-867-8255. Let's see, what else have we got here? So Representative RepKeithSelf gave a very, very interesting statement on the Congressional House floor, and I figured I'd share this with you as well. Here it is.
Mr. Speaker, America's founding generation did not take up arms merely over taxes. They rebelled against a tyrannical government that planted spies in their taverns, searched their homes, and read their private letters. Benjamin Franklin understood this threat deeply. He popularized the rattlesnake as a symbol of America, first with his Join or Die cartoon, and later by praising the defiant motto, "Don't tread on me." He also delivered a timeless warning. Those who would give up essential liberty to purchase a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. This year, 2026, marks the 250th anniversary of our Declaration of Independence. There could be no more fitting time to reaffirm the principles of liberty than by dismantling the surveillance state that has quietly eroded them. That starts with the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act, FISA, which has become the modern incarnation of the general warrants that ignited the revolution. Created originally to track foreign enemies on foreign soil, Section 702 has morphed into a sprawling domestic surveillance machine that sweeps up Americans' communications and treats the Fourth Amendment like a suggestion. On June 12th, Congress faces another deadline to renew Section 702. The intelligence community wants a clean reauthorization, but we are not going to accept that. Congress should not accept that, and no American, if they were actually told the truth for once about what their own government is doing to them, would accept that. This is not opposition to national security. It is a refusal to sacrifice essential liberty for temporary safety. If Congress is going to renew FISA, then we must enact meaningful changes. First, repeal the dangerously broad expansion of the term electronic communication service provider. It now allows the government to compel churches, small businesses, and community organizations to hand over Americans' communications. Second, strengthen the FISA court's amicus curiae program so independent voices can actually defend Americans' rights in secret proceedings. Third, close the data broker loophole that allows the FBI, IRS, and every other federal agency to bypass the Constitution by simply buying Americans' geolocation, metadata, and browsing history off the market. Most urgently, require a warrant for backdoor searches of Americans' communications. At peak, the government conducted nearly 3 million warrantless searches of U.S. citizens' data, many of them illegal. Foreign threats must be watched, but Americans deserve probable cause and a real warrant on American soil. In addition, we must ban the central bank digital currency permanently. A CBDC is the ultimate surveillance tool that allows the government to track, control, and potentially freeze every purchase you make. The CBDC cannot ever be allowed to operate in the United States. It is the biggest threat to our privacy. And as you know, while we are at it, let's secure our elections by ensuring that only American citizens vote in American elections. Mr. Speaker, our founders never intended for us to trade liberty for supposed safety. Our founders never imagined a day where illegal aliens would be voting in our elections. In this 250th anniversary year of American independence, Congress must draw a line in the sand. Mm-hmm. Let us stand with our forefathers, the Constitution, and the American people who want secure elections and for the government to stop spying on them. Reject the rubber stamp FISA renewal. Pass these reforms. Secure our elections. Ban CBDC forever. Restore the Fourth Amendment. Protect our republic. The rattlesnake is once again rattling. It's time for Congress to listen.
Yes, it is. Absolutely. And of course, he's talking about the CBDCs and the data centers and the invasion of privacy. And, this issue about eminent domain. Eminent domain is supposed to benefit all the people. When they say, when the government says, look, we need this particular piece of land because it's going to benefit the public, the people. And that is what they use to legitimize taking people's land. Okay, for instance, as a town or becomes a city and they have to put in highways or maybe get an interstate or whatever, sometimes they have to figure out where they're going to put that new road, and it might go right across near somebody's property. They have to say, look, we're going to need this for the benefit of the community, for the people. Okay? And it'll be funded by the state, and it'll be utilized by the people of the state. Okay, that's what eminent domain is supposed to be, the way I understand it anyway. I could be wrong. But they're utilizing eminent domain to take the property of people so that they can put in these data centers, which are owned by corporations, which are not going to benefit the people. So how can they legitimize utilizing eminent domain when it's for a corporation, for a business? Well, when business is running government, that is the definition of fascism. So, and as far as these data centers are concerned, well, wait a second. Something isn't mathing here. Now, we've got, a lot of people have their cell phones. You've got your tablets, you've got your laptop, your desktop computers. We've got all kinds of technology. And there's more technology packed into a cell phone than they had, than the technology that was utilized to supposedly go to the moon back in 1969. So if they have all this technology and all these incredible chips and everything, all shrunk down, miniaturized, et cetera, why the heck do they need a data center that's going to be 93 acres or some insane amount of land and an insanely huge facility? Why do they need all that space and all that computing power? I would think that they would be able to do that with a lot less space. And not only that, we also know that every 4 to 5 years, whatever computer chips that you've got running your device or whatever it is that's computerized, we know that every 4 or 5 years, that stuff becomes obsolete and has to be replaced. Well, won't that apply to the data centers? If they're going to be loading them up with all these computers and computers and computers, and then they're going to have to replace them in 4 to 5 years? That doesn't make sense. So why do they need these huge facilities? What are they going to be doing with these facilities? Now, this opens a door for, shall I say, conspiracy theories. Yeah, well, we don't know. Are they going to turn into another form of FEMA camps? Because there's talk about that. Maybe these are huge detainment centers that are being built. I don't know. I don't trust anything that I'm hearing from the government and from the media. So I'm forced to think outside of the cage. And hopefully you are too. Unfortunately, there's too many Americans that just have forgotten how to do that. And as a matter of fact, I wrote a song about it. Here it is.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for the Modern American Song. Well, I'm an American and I've got rights as long as my government says so. And I can do anything I want as long as I get a license or a permit. And the things that I own debt-free. As long as I pay tax, they won't take them from me. Yeah, I'm in control of my destiny. At least that's what they tell me. Yeah, I've got the right of redress, but they don't have to answer. And I can ask any questions I want as long as it doesn't make them look bad. Because here in America, the government answers to me unless it's a question of national security. Yeah, I can say anything I want as long as I agree with them. Yeah, here in America, I've got a free press as long as I own it. And I can trust the TV reporters as far as I can throw a bus. Because I get my news from my TV, and I see the world the way they want me to see it. And we don't have any spin doctors, but I get dizzy just watching them. And my political voice can be heard as long as it's Republican or Democrat. And I can vote any way I want, but I don't get to see them counted. Because here in America, our elections are free and the results are in before the count on my TV. Yes, we elect our own officials, and that's what they want us to believe. Yeah, I've got the right to own a gun as long as they say so. And I've got the right to demonstrate as long as there's not more than 2 of us at a time. Our forefathers secured our liberty, but we've traded them in for our security. No, we don't need our rights anymore because our government's going to take good care of us. Yes, I know I'll get a speedy trial if they want to shut me up. And I've got a right to defend myself, but I can't submit any evidence. Yes, I'll expose the corrupt and I won't budge as long as I'm not exposing some judge. Yeah, I can say anything I want, but I won't have to...
Grab that guy. Get him out of here. Unfortunately, that's where we are. Unfortunately, like I said, that is exactly where we are. And getting back to this thing about white supremacy or Jewish supremacy or black supremacy or whatever supremacy, which I don't believe in, and anybody who who stands up against the system, people who refuse to take the hokey pokey thingy dingy. Well, you remember when CarolBaker, she was one of the top CDC officials, which she said, people were refusing to take the vaccine. Yeah, here's what she had to say.
The solution. Every study published in the last 5 years, when you look at vaccine refusers, I'm not talking about, hesitants, most of them we can talk into coming to terms, but refusers. We'll just get rid of all the whites in the United States. Because Houston is the most diverse city in the entire United States. There's 7 Asian languages spoken.
Wow.
The solution.
Okay, let's just get rid of all the whites, she said. I don't make this stuff up, folks. That's why I'm here with the audio receipts. I mean, you just can't make this stuff up. Now, in the meantime, let's see. We got a couple of minutes left here. Oh, yeah. We don't want to forget about what the investigation into Charlie Kirk's assassination. Now, people who continue to dig, of course, they're being called all kinds of names, conspiracy theorists. Okay, they're all going after Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson and Sam Parker and anybody who questions the official story that Tyler Robinson was the lone shooter that took out Charlie Kirk. And, of course, the history revisionists out there, you know, from TPUSA, they don't want you to know any of the things that Charlie Kirk said that was challenging the Israeli authorities. They want that to go down the memory hole. Well, it's not going down the memory hole. Because a lot of people who knew Charlie and who were paying attention to Charlie Kirk in the year before his demise remember some of the things that he was saying about the Jewish donors and about October 7th. And by the way, October 7th has become the new chant. They've worn out the Holocaust victim card, and the whole thing about anti-Semitism, that's gotten really tired as well. So now the October 7th thing has been the new mantra, but that's falling apart too because we now know that that was an inside job. Anyway, here's a couple clips that Charlie had to say about this conflict with Iran.
But I'll just be very honest with you, something that I'm against. I don't think we should bomb Iranian nuclear facilities. I just don't. I think it would be a huge mistake. It's an act of war against a major country. You go to war with Persia, it will bring your country down. The American people did not rise up in major numbers because we want war with Iran. That was never part of the deal. Okay, it was never like, hey, America first, we're going to go do a bunch of targeted strikes on the inland of Iran. So that's just where I would say that would be a catastrophic mistake. Why we believe this? We have so many pressing problems at home, and our leaders are internationally obsessed, and they are domestically ignorant.
Yeah. Yes, they are. So that's just one of many things that Charlie had said that, let's say, how do you think Bibi Netanyahu would feel about that? Bibi's had a Jones for bombing Iran since 1995, over 30 years. Iran is only a couple of weeks away from a nuclear bomb. We've been hearing about that over and over and over and over. And here comes Charlie Kirk saying, don't do it. No wonder Bibi Netanyahu was pissed off. So we have to look at motive, means, and opportunity. Was there a motive for the Israeli interest to take out Charlie Kirk? Is there a motive? I would say that that's a resounding yes. They didn't like what Charlie was saying. Motive, let me see. Means. Did they have the means to do it? Well, they got the most sophisticated weapons, the pagers and exploding, little exploding devices. Possibly an exploding microphone. Yeah, I would say that they've got the means. They got all kinds of stuff that we have no idea that even exist. Opportunity. Motive, means, and opportunity. Well, they create their own opportunity. And thanks to the investigation of Candace Owens, we're finding out all kinds of stuff about the opportunities that were created to take advantage of the situation when they took out Charlie Kirk. So, am I a conspiracy theorist? No, I'm a realist. And I don't mind thinking outside of the cage, and neither should you. Simple as that. Anyway, that said, boy, the hour goes by quick, doesn't it? All right, well, I appreciate your listenership, and if you're listening on BitChute or Rumble or YouTube or Facebook, again, please click like, share, subscribe, and above all else, spread the word. Word of mouth is the best advertising. And speaking of advertising, help us keep the home fires burning and do some business with our advertisers. Click on the sponsors page on our website, The WTF Reports, and get more tank, get a wave watch, get some merch. We got T-shirts, we have coffee cups, we got baseball caps, and if you'd like to make a contribution to our effort, we have a GoFundMe there too as well. Anyway, that said, the week is just shooting by, and that brings us to a close of the Thursday edition of the WTF Report. So until tomorrow, God bless you all. Stay safe, stay free, and God willing, I'll see you tomorrow.